I want to show you how to make this adorable 3D pumpkin cake topper. To start, I make the pumpkin out of rice cereal. So I melted some marshmallows in the microwave and I'm just adding some Rice Krispies until I get it to the right consistency. I don't really use a recipe, I just eyeball it. And you want it to have a good marshmallow to crispy ratio, just like this. And then I'm just going to grease my hands and get it into a ball. And then I'm going to smack the ball down on the countertop to flatten the bottom a little bit. And then I just want to shape this. So I'm pressing the top down to give that little curve in the top of the pumpkin. And I'm just rolling it on the countertop and trying to taper it at the very bottom. And I want to color the fondant. I'm using some orange and I'm going to add a little bit of brown just to mute the color a little bit. That is marshmallow fondant. I do have Tylose powder mixed into that fondant, so I need to set that aside so the Tylose powder can start to work and make the fondant a little stretchier. Now I'm taking a microplane and I'm shaving the bumps off of these Rice Krispies just to make the pumpkin a little smoother. Luckily, pumpkins are kind of bumpy, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm rolling it on the countertop just to keep the taper at the bottom and keep the shape. Now my hands are clean when I do this, and I'm taking some American buttercream and I'm just using my hands to get icing all on the outside, and then I'm running my hand under hot water and just smoothing all of that icing out. I'm going to stick this on a cutting board that is on a turntable. I'm rolling this fondant out, going to lift it up and place it on top, and I'm cutting off the excess, and then I just want to smooth this out. So I just have to pull the fondant out to get rid of the wrinkles, and then I just want to take my pizza cutter and cut all of the excess off of the bottom. And then I like to take a piece of fondant and smooth the fondant. And again, like I said, pumpkins are naturally bumpy, so if it's a little lumpy, then that's okay. I'm taking my Dresden tool and I'm using the curve of the Dresden tool just to make these lines in here. Now, they don't have to be equidistant. They can be haphazard on here, if you will, and I'm just going over them a couple times just to make them really prominent. To color this in, you can use petal dust. So I have some dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and orange petal dust, and you can just use a brush and add the detail this way. Or another option is to use an airbrush gun. I'm just airbrushing some brown on here. I was a little heavy-handed with my airbrush, so sometimes using petal dust is a little better because it's not as intense. I'm sticking a really long toothpick in the center and I want to make the stem. So I'm trying to get it into a cone shape, which is flat on the bottom. And I put it on top there just to make sure that it fit. And I'm pinching the bottom just so it is more seamless when I put it on top of the pumpkin. And I want the stem to curl around a little bit, so I'm trying to roll it out really long. I'm getting a little bit of water on the very bottom, and then I'm going to put this on the very top part of the pumpkin. And I want to curl this around. I want to give it a little motion. So I'm just trying to coil this around to give it like a curly Q look to it. And then I want to sharpen the point a little bit, so I just roll it in between my fingers, and I want to stick that to the pumpkin. So I'm getting a little bit of water behind it where it's touching it and just sticking that down. And here is the pumpkin. How cute is that? Now I want to put it on the cake, so I'm getting really long skewers in the very bottom. I got icing on top of the cake and I just slid it down on top. As you can see, I have made this many times and every time it's a little different. There are so many fun ways to change this up, different stem shapes, colors, or even dressing it up with a face or a witch hat. That's the fun of cake decorating. You can use the techniques learned in this video for the basics and make it your own.